Oh, did you get?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Dockside at the Bay. I am Vinny, along with Kim. And
Hello, everyone.
Right before we started recording, Kim was about to ask me if I got the intro fixed, and yes, I got the intro fixed. It took like 3 different times.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Looks great. Very, very cool.
But either way, thank you for tuning in. This is Dockside at the Bay. We're going to be talking all about multiple 27-time Emmy award-winning web soap, The Bay. We're going to be talking about season 6, episode 10, which is Auld Lang Syne Part 2, kind of continuation of last week's episode, of course. But before we get into that, we did have the Daytime Emmy Awards this past Friday night.
Yes, we did.
Unfortunately, The Bay got shut out this year.
Which, surprised me, made me a little sad, with as few soaps as we've got kind of in the, just seeing ours is kind of not in the mix, because it's unusual, especially with, given all the wins that it's had, in the past. But we did see, some Beyond the Gates recognition, at least the cast, was getting to show their stuff for Beyond the Gates at least. So that was cool seeing a new soap represented, but still.
Yeah, next year Beyond the Gates will be available to be nominated because of the time frame. But either way, you know what? The Bay did have one nomination, lead actress category, or was it supporting? I can't remember. But either way, they had one nomination. But you know what? Overall, we haven't watched season 9 yet. We haven't gotten there. So, we'll get into it when we get there. I do want to go ahead and plug that we are less than a month away from our second annual 24-hour podcast-a-thon.
Very exciting.
Taking place starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, November 8th, going all the way through 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, November 9th. We'll be, of course, raising money for Samantha's Friends, the fantastic charity that we helped last year, and that I went to their charity gala this past September. And I am challenging all of our audience to double the amount that we gave last year. Last year we gave $350. I'm challenging us to get to $700. You can go ahead and donate now. The donation Venmo is open. You can scan the QR code on our social media and give that way. It's venmo.com/u/Suds and Word Circle Media. So you can go ahead and do that. And like I said, collections are happening for the entire month. All right. While I'm on that, I did put out a post earlier today that obviously Angela and I are going to be hosting the entire event like we did last year, but this year we do have some West Coast help as well. So for those late night, while the Eastern Seaboard is sleeping, we do have some West Coast people to fill in, and that is James Law Jr. and Matt from the 10th floor. James Law Jr. will be on from 11 p.m. Eastern until 1 a.m. Eastern, and Matt will be doing from 1 a.m. Eastern to 3 a.m. Eastern. So there'll be 4 hours there. And honestly, Angela and I will probably be on the entire time, but at least it gives us a break. And Kim will be on. I'm not sure what time she's planning on coming on, or I'm not sure.
We'll figure it out. I'll rotate myself in somehow.
All right, good. And we do have our first confirmed guest, and that is a returning guest from last year, and that's Jacqueline Grace Lopez, Emmy-nominated Jacqueline Grace Lopez. So she'll be coming on Saturday this time. So we'll keep you posted as to what the time frame is and what the schedule of guests is going to be. Remember, this year we're doing it in 3 8-hour segments just so that we have access to all of the interviews, unlike last year where it cuts off after 10 hours and we lost everything after 10 p.m. So this year it's going to go from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. all Eastern time, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then we'll, take a break, we'll cut, reset, and then we'll go from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Again, cut, reset, and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. To do 3 total 8-hour segments so that we could have everything and release those interviews individually later on. But, Kim, how have you been? And now that I've been talking, you're off the podcast.
And I've been good. I've been good. Just trying to stay ahead of things at the new job and just I don't know, trying to get back into the creative spirit and trying to write a little bit more. I was feeling a little creatively tapped out for a bit, so I'm trying to, segue back into that a little bit.
That's
So yeah, but no, things have been good. Things have been good, and it's been just nice. Like I said, being able to just kind of get home after a long day at work and escape into a little drama that isn't work related. That's a little bit more, especially with this chunk of episodes, because my goodness, I mean, just when you think they can't really top themselves with the twists and the crazy, they find a way to. And this finale, it felt like a finale. It left me just wanting more. Mm-hmm. And even though it makes me happy that at least all the episodes are available to stream and that we don't have to wait forever, because this would be a heck of a cliffhanger to have to wait on.
You are absolutely right. So this is, like we said, season 6, episode 10. The next episode is season 7, episode 1. So for those of you who are like me watching on Peacock, we have to find new places to stream, whether it's Tubi or Roku TV, Roku channel, or Popstar, or I think Amazon Prime goes up to 7.
Yeah, I believe they do too. Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where I'll be going, is Amazon Prime Video for.
Yeah. Tubi has been working for me, honestly, in my rewatch stage. So.
Well, I hate ads, so I'm going to go for ad-free on
this. Valid, very valid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm acting like a diva. I hate ads, but it is what it is. Either way, folks, we are getting into the nitty-gritty of just some fantastic storytelling, and actually, on one of the teaser clips that I posted last week from last week's episode, Gregory Martin and Christos both commented on the reel on Instagram because I tagged them. But either way, it was just to kind of let them know that everything is going fantastic.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh yeah. So on the reel, Gregory Martin said, "Thank you so much. At Christos, you are iconic. Thank you." And Christos replied, the kind feedback is so appreciated. Thank you. So either way, we do have we're getting that recognition from the actual people who we do the show for, because, well, quite honestly, it is one of those things that we want to get noticed. Well, we want to just give them the flowers. That's what it boils down to. Like the kids say, give them their flowers.
And it's just nice seeing the soap community. That, like, it's because it's so. It definitely, with the amount of soaps that are currently on the air, it's a small community. We can get very vocal, we can get very crazy, but at the end of the day, there are some really, really cool people that just all want to just kind of support each other, and it's really lovely just to know that this show that we've kind of, that we dove into and, got really, excited, just knowing that, the creators feel our appreciation and feel that love. And, it's just, it's such a nice feeling. And you can't really find that sort of, certain fandoms, I suppose, but I feel like the soap fandom is unique in that sense. It's just, we're a little bit smaller and a little bit more tight knit. And I feel like cool connections like this can happen. And that recognition and that love is there.
I did get to meet Gregory Martin at the Samantha's Friends event in September. Christos was supposed to be there. Unfortunately, he was filming another project. Can't help. But either way, the next one that I get to go to, I will definitely be able to.
Yeah. And having had the privilege of meeting them both, lovely, amazing humans, creative, talented as all get out, just very cool community to be a part of, for sure.
Yes, it absolutely is. And this episode had a lot of twists.
It really did.
Now, we did see part of this episode during the Valentine's special about weddings a number of months ago, maybe at the beginning of this year when we went through that, or actually we went through that I think last year if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because there was a lot of significant moments, significant plot points that took place, a lot crammed into this episode for sure. And knowing that that was kind of a recap sort of thing with the Valentine's Day, and they wanted to just kind of showcase. I mean, they definitely had their pick of moments to go in and choose from, and incredible scenes that just lend itself to the drama and lend itself to the you got drama, you got romance, you got everything going on in this episode. It was nonstop in that sense, and it makes sense that a lot of those pieces got kind of lifted into the montage. But seeing it all again in start to finish, it had been a bit, and I was still on the edge of my seat, even though I've already watched it and already kind of knew the twists that were coming. So that says a lot. Oh yeah, no,
you're absolutely right, and I enjoyed watching it take place in story, as opposed to just being a clip show, because we hadn't gotten there in terms of watching it, for the rewatch. For your rewatch, my first watch, we hadn't gotten there yet. So now watching it in context and seeing last week's episode, how everything comes together with Adam and his goons, it made complete sense.
Yep, definitely. It carries over a lot of different. There's so many different threads that just get kind of explored and strung and brought through here, and it's amazing. Yes. It's amazing because the episode itself is not, as I always say, it was not that long, but it still managed to pack a punch.
Yes, it did, and it started right from the beginning, where we get kind of a TV transmission feed, computer transmission from Steve Jensen.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever started an episode in that particular way before. It was a little jarring. I honestly was kind of like, wait a minute, what's wrong with my screen? What's wrong with my because with the jumpiness and the static and just the way that they, but an interesting way to just kind of kick things off for sure. And of course you have, Matthew Ashford just playing, supreme villain, just charming and smarmy.
Now, did you take down what he actually said? Because I was distracted while I was watching it. I didn't get a chance to really.
He got in on a lot of really good dialogue. I mean, and I wonder if some of it was improv, and that's a question I actually have. I'm kind of curious if everything is scripted or if some of these actors get to bring in a little bit of improv, because some of his lines, you're desperately seeking Steven, I think is how he opened up the dialogue. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, come on. But, special shout out. He's given the mayor shout out, calling him a consummate. It's he's just so, oof. He mentions Sara, obviously, but he calls her Blondie, brings that nickname back into the fold, basically saying that he'll hold on to all of her secrets if she pardons him. And then he starts in on John Blackwell saying, he's not as clever as he thinks, and, choosing the little flower and orchid, next time you need to choose someone who can think on her feet, which, to be fair, we did kind of even say that Orchid was, a little, poor girl. She just, she was struggling pretty hard with the whole subterfuge thing. But then we have also Steve talking about, and, it's funny with Steve and Pete's relationship. Because, they've been obviously antagonistic towards each other. But we haven't really seen, I'm trying to think of, I think we can count on one hand the number of times they've actually, interacted and been in the same scene since, very early on.
Yes.
Despite the fact that, Steve has, caused such chaos for him. Their interactions have been kind of minimal. Early on they were...
The most interaction that they actually had was during the trial.
Right. and like when he punched him in the face, and
Right.
then obviously, but just given all the havoc that he's wreaked in their lives, you'd think it's so funny because he still talks to Pete like, you've come so far and you have the makings of a politician, and I gotta wonder if like there's some foreshadowing in that, if that's planting a seed.
Could be.
Just
I mean,
the makings of a politician, just kind of bringing, because the way that Pete can kind of take ownership of situations. I
yeah.
don't know. Would be an
I know
interesting kind
that.
of path.
I mean, and Pete has a ton of leadership qualities in general. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily know politician or politics is what they're going for, um, but I do believe that right now there's just a lot going on, and to see that we always joke in the soap world where all the villains are kind of aligned in a certain way. It's like,
Mhm.
like in GH, there was always Helena, but she had Jerry Jacks working for her for one thing, or,
Mhm.
Cesar Faison, or whatever. Um, in this case, it's literally like all the villains are like like Steve Jensen is the ringleader. He is the
Yes.
ultimate, you know, the ultimate villain, that he's the one leading the charge.
Mhm. It
And
was really encapsulated in Bay the Beginning when he's sitting, knowing like he's just blown up the shack where Isabella was, and he's just sitting at the bar sipping on his drink, knowing full well he's just caused absolute chaos and just is like
yeah,
watching it unfold. That just set the tone for the entire character, in terms of you just, I'm just going to sit back and look at all the destruction that I've just created, and laugh about it. I mean, that's always been like his kind of
yeah.
MO.
So it remains to be seen how everything plays out. What does Steve have with Adam? Like, what's the
Right.
connection there? I mean, now granted, I did watch season. You know what? I did stream season 7. I did watch season 7.
Kind of
I
blurring
watched it
together a little bit.
a number of months ago because now it makes sense because now they're going to rescue the people that were kidnapped. Spoiler. But yeah, I did watch season 7. I didn't watch anything of 8 or 9 yet. So
Gotcha. Okay.
now everything is just coming back to me.
Yeah, but it was just quite a tone to set, and especially because Steve has been, in Istanbul this entire time too. Now it shows him he's still disconnected, but he's also not, and now he's just trying to like weasel his way back in through threatening messages on, filming stuff, and just trying to, insert himself back into the chaos and the fold however he can.
Yeah.
But he basically says again and again that he needs to be pardoned. And if they don't do it, if no one, pardons him, then it will be, at their peril, basically.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
he's still got tricks up his sleeve and everything like that. So, yeah, we got to check in with Steve and, through the static and the weird sort of camera effects that they were doing on him and
I
all of
liked
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I did too. It was definitely a way to just kind of kick in, you get a little suspense, you get a little, menacing, mustache twirling, soapy trope, villain type. And then we just move right into, the drama with Pete and with Vivian, because we left them on the side of the road and Pete squared off against his evil twin, which again, another soap trope, but
But the way they did it was so good, and I loved the camera shots. And I got to give Gregory
hmm
Martin credit for the way that they shot it.
definitely.
And to be fair, I'm watching the scenes, and how much you want to bet for the scenes where you see either Christos, Pete, or Adams, the back of their head. That's Mike Manning stepping in.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see
I,
it. That's
I
right.
could kind of tell by the sideburns and the side of the
Yeah.
hair and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's the one that fits the most.
Yeah. I will say this, when it comes to, shooting scenes with twins and that whole bit. I mean, as a child, I was convinced that Lindsay Lohan had a twin based on, my first viewing of The Parent Trap. I was convinced there were two girls there. I mean, some shows do it very effectively. I thought they did it effectively here with this, but I definitely, now that you mention it, I could see it with Mike Manning being the stand-in there for
Yeah.
that. And I don't know how you get through that scene though, and you've got like just because it's I don't know. Sometimes like I for all like the villainry that we're seeing from Steve, the menacing and all of that. Some of the lines that he gets, the villains get some of the best like
Of
one-liners on
course.
this show.
Of course. Like I said, it's easier to make people hate you, and it's more fun,
Hmm.
and you're able to get away with more as a bad guy. Like,
Absolutely,
you're able to say more edgy dialogue, more stuff, because everybody's going to look at you funny anyways. Like,
that's true.
if you're a baby face, if you're a good guy, you can't say half the edgy shit because
Hmm.
it's eventually going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. But it even comes back to like the mirror sequence that we had in the last episode, in the last installment. Just how it was weaving in, the humor, but also the menacing, but also the threatening. And damn, Christos, just knocking it out of the park. And here it's no exception. I mean, we get to just see, him. We get Pete in hero mode, trying his best to. So much nuance there. So much nuance being played, and this interaction that we're getting. There's so much going on.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it remains to be seen how it plays out and where it goes from here. But might as well get started. We saw the thing with Steve. You know, and then after that, it gets into all of the different situations that are going on. You see
Mhm.
Lex and Sara kind of having their private New
Yep.
Year's party. You see Daniel and Caleb's wedding, so Avery's
Yes.
there, RJ's there,
Yep.
Damien finally gets there, Zoe's there. Then you've got Pete and Vivian in the car. Pete trying to help Vivian,
Hmm.
through her labor. The baby comes, gets delivered in the car.
Yeah.
Um,
In typical soap fashion, she could not have a normal delivery. There is no way. Had to be a
and
big
then
dramatic
yeah,
thing.
and then we see the Romantica party. Oh yeah,
Yes.
and Evan is kind of down. He's feeling he's having his own pity party. Uh,
Mm, pretty much.
but,
Yeah.
so I have to say the safest place was the Romantica New Year's party. Nothing
Hmm.
really happened there.
Aside from some lovely sort of, I mean, there we had some drama, but it was mostly just in the interactions between we had Patty and her son
Yeah.
going up against and that kind of conflict. But it did get kind of it, I appreciated how there wasn't crazy drama happening, but there was still just drama within that dialogue and their interactions. You did have it where it looks like things are kind of copacetic, things are calm. They have the guitar playing in the background. They're playing Cards Against Humanity. Things seem to have kind of settled out a little bit.
Hmm.
And then we even had that one. What the heck is it? I freaking love Nard. I love Abuelo. I love Nard. That moment where what the heck is a good queef? Don't look it up.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things where you just can't look it up because especially if you have the privacy blocker on your Google or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And just but then to go from like that funny moment to cop who took a knee, and then that kind of almost it sets Lianna off, and
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that phrase that kind of stopped the party. What was that?
yeah, it
Cop.
was well because cop who took a knee shows up as one of the Cards Against Humanity options, and
Oh,
that gets Lianna thinking on Will and thinking on that whole situation. So it's like we have like that comedic relief, that nice little sort of moment, and then it snaps back into her getting upset again about the entire Colton situation, the Will situation, all of that.
yep.
And then we also get mentioned too in that scene of Abuela, of the grandmother, who
Mhm.
we haven't seen yet. Margarita, I guess is her name, but Nardo mentions her, and when he's telling Liana, like holding on to the anger doesn't help. You need to just talking about like how he needs to be with her because his family and how important that is. And then we get mention of the grandmother who we haven't actually seen just yet, but I gotta
Right.
wonder if down the road maybe like they'll explore that and bring her into the fold. A little
Well,
foreshadowing there possibly.
I mean, that party was very funny. It was just that kind of lightheartedness and all of the darkness and all of the action. Just
Mhm.
really
All the
fun.
stuff happening outside the door, but yet they
Yes,
still managed to weave in some drama within the dialogue in this, this house party and everything like that. And we do get to, treat it to, and I Riley being her singing,
well,
which,
Brittany Underwood is a singer, so
yeah, no, beautiful voice. I'd
oh
kind
yeah,
of forgotten that detail. That because we have the guitar playing obviously, but then Riley, having that kind of be the backdrop to all the
yeah.
it was just oof.
Oh,
Again with the choices made in this episode in terms of the directing, in terms of the montage, in terms of the music and everything, it just so well done. It gives you chills.
yeah. Oh, completely agree. Completely agree. All right, folks, I do want to go ahead and mention that we've been talking all about action today, and I do want to go over one of our sponsors, and that is W Energy. There's a lot of energy, especially with the guys in the with the riot gear that's going to be bombarding our 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 fan favorites in every other place,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the wedding, whether it's Sara and Lex's party, or the
And they seemed well hydrated, these
yeah.
guys.
Uh, so
They were raring to go. So
yes, exactly. So we are brought to you by W Energy, and they are a fantastic energy drink company that you can buy the powder form. And I will tell you, the flavors are great, especially if you're a gamer. What I have noticed is that they have a lot of streamers and gamers that are partners with them because they utilize their products to stay up and play video games all the time. Now, I'm 44 years old, and my first game that I played was Super Mario Brothers. And if you told me 40 years ago that at some point people will get paid to sit around and play video games and you can actually watch other people play video games online and get paid for it, it would have blown my mind. But there's a lot of that going on today. There's a lot of people who stream video games and stuff, whatever. That's not something that I do, but hey, to each their own.
yeah.
But you know what? If you are a streamer, if you are a gamer, go to wdubby.gg. Use the promo code Suds Media for 10% off your purchase. Whether you're going to do the energy blends or because they are Generalist Energy made from the coffee fruit extract. It is Generalist caffeine. Also, if they also have the hydration blend, which is something that I like. I don't always like the energy powders because I don't like all that energy and all that caffeine. I am naturally energetic. You could ask my wife, and she always tells me I'm too energetic at times where she just wants to go to, relax or whatever. Like I'm like, let's go, let's do something, let's get up and go. But I do like the hydration blends, and I really enjoy the flavors as well. The watermelonada, watermelon lemonade, fantastic. So again, wdubby.gg, promo code Suds Media for 10% off your purchase. All right, moving on. We talked about the guys in the riot gear. We get a quick scene before all the chaos starts, and they're just outside of all of their individual ambushes, and there's one question that's asked, or the kind of the pep talk. Remember why we're doing this.
Right.
We still haven't heard of why they're doing it.
It's a little murky in that sense. We know that they're clearly men on a mission. They've been hired. They're mercenaries. They have no qualms about just running out with their gear on and their guns blazing and ready to go and just shoot up the town and cause chaos. But it is just kind of interesting not necessarily knowing. Obviously, we know Adam is behind it, but we don't necessarily know. It's just he's there to sow chaos. And we're just getting caught up in that chaos. But in terms of we still we've touched on it, but it's like you almost want to see that moment where he just kind of has his, launches into his manifesto, so to speak, of why exactly, this is what I'm doing, and this is what, and we're going to get there. But for now, it's just, it's almost like he's content to just cause this chaos in this town and just be all, for his own reasons, which, we know some of his motivation, but it hasn't been explicitly stated.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I mean, hopefully we do figure it out. I mean, because that's the one thing that, again, is another soap trope. you know why we're doing this. Let's go. But the audience doesn't know. Like,
Hmm.
gotta let
Yeah,
us
it's we're a little in the dark still. And maybe that's by design, because then that way it just kind of makes the events, honestly, even though you're aware of what's going to happen,
Yep.
seeing it all play out is still shocking. It's
Oh
still a
yeah.
lot. I mean, you have it set to, music, but it's still just a very chilling, sequence of events that they capture.
Yes, you're exactly right. And I mean, let's start with the wedding. It's like as soon as Caleb and Daniel are, they say their I do's and they say their vows, and you may kiss the groom.
Oh, and just really quick with those vows, those were lovely. I loved the writing in those vows. Sometimes, soaps like, sometimes they do the traditional, sometimes they do a little bit, it could err on the side of a little bit, a little too, too sweet too, but I thought the way that they handled the vows there, maybe it's just because I root for this couple so hard, but I just really appreciated the discussion about the rings, just they kind of weaved that in, and so did Zoe, even in the just general sort of cycles of gold going on for eternity and the world not being ready for our kind of love. Oof, it made me all feel all warm and fuzzy. I really liked the vows.
Oh, it was great. I loved it, and I like how Caleb said during his vows that we were scared because the world wasn't ready for a relationship like ours, and
Hmm.
it just goes with the signs of the times, and
Yes.
it's like, I mean, granted, this takes place at the end of 2020, which by then, gay marriage has been around for ages at this point and legalized in, the federal government and everything. So, I mean, but it's still the fight that a lot of, gay couples, lesbian couples, et cetera, had to go through in order to,
Yeah. And they
marry.
even highlight how Caleb's family isn't there, not because they couldn't make it, but because they aren't supportive, and because he kind of knew that he wasn't going to. Unlike Daniel, who, obviously there were folks that weren't able to be there, but there were reasons behind that. And they wanted to keep it small and simple. But for Caleb, it's just, that extra layer of just kind of heartbreak, knowing that, like, his family hasn't, but his being able to say, the world's not ready for our kind of love, neither were we, but here we are today, and here we are
Yeah.
doing this. And it's just, it was so lovely. And then, but everything turns chaotic so quickly. That's the other thing too. I'd kind of forgotten. It really just snaps into insanity so fast. They really just don't. There's not a lot of lead up and build to it, or like, like a cliffhanger or like something. It's just like, oh no, we're just gonna like launch into this.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Like
Yeah. It really was like, it's almost like the episode was kind of separated into two parts. Like,
Hmm.
in wrestling, you have your WrestleMania, which is theoretically the culmination of the best storylines of the year, and then the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is kind of like the start of the newer storylines.
Hmm.
This episode seemed like it was both in one, because the first half of the episode was kind of the culmination of 2020,
Hmm.
and then right at the stroke of midnight, we get into the second part. The baby is born, the wedding is done,
Yes.
the party is going on, and midnight hits, and then the next morning, literally the next minute, all hell breaks loose. It was
Hmm.
really New Year's Evil.
Yes, yes. It just definitely, sets it, and just I mentioned it before, but even the way that they just kind of like shot that sequence of events, and just the way that they had just, things happening in the background, and just you see all this craziness taking place. You have the music in the background that's a little bit more subdued.
Yeah.
Just the way that they just structured all of it. I mean, it's like you watch it and you're almost just like, wait, what just happened?
Yes.
Okay, now do I need to? It's almost like tough to absorb as you're seeing it for the first time in real time. I remember that's how I felt when I first watched it, and even I felt kind of similar rewatching it, knowing full well what was going to happen. It still
Yeah.
kind of has that same impact and that same effect, because it just really does jump. I mean, we have like, the birth sequence, and then the toast, and then just with, and also, can we just say that the Garrett estate officially has the worst security / protection in existence. Like, come on. How many times has someone managed to get past what the housekeeper guy? Is he the only line of security now at this point?
At this point, you like it. Like, why are there no cameras? Why doesn't Pete have the system rigged with, cameras and booby traps and
he was just abducted for not that long. One would think that that would be a fortress by now, and yet they just managed to stroll in through the front door and gun our heroine down, and it's just
but then again, thinking about it, seeing as Adam is Pete's twin brother, what if it's just a facial recognition for Pete to turn everything off, and since Adam is his twin brother, it kind of worked out against him?
I could have stood to have seen that actually play out, because then it would indicate, hey, we've upped our security game given the fact that the Queen of Bay City was just kidnapped and abducted from her bed by like an imposter portraying her son. If we had a little sequence, that would have been like a nice little add-on, I think. Given it a level of because just doing a little retinal scan or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got the same face as or him like fooling a guard or something. Because you'd think that being like the other locations, the other sites, okay, kind of but you would think that at this estate, this palatial place that so many things have happened at before, that they would make a point of having that security game locked and loaded. And maybe ever since that one kindly the old man from I want to say like the first or the second season. I don't even know if he was in Bay the beginning. He might have been in season 1, but he was Sarah's sort of like house guy who just kind of took care of things. I feel like he wouldn't have let that slide.
No, you're exactly right.
But it did slide, and that sequence was just, you have Lex just kind of seeing it all play out in horrifyingly slow-mo real time, just seeing the woman he just proposed to.
I mean, as soon as Lex proposes to Sarah and sort of marry him, then the house gets ambushed.
Yeah. And then, seconds later she's bleeding out on the rug, and we're just left with that image, and it's just like, oh God. And it's funny because right around the time that I was watching this in real time, there was a storyline on Days where like Kayla was Orpheus had come after, Kayla, Marlena, all of them. So I feel like, I don't know, in terms of the filming schedules, must have been kind of interesting, because I feel like she was playing, Mary Beth was kind of playing either, dead / dying / comatose for quite a bit of, stretches in this period, because between the Bay and Days, her characters have been through a lot.
Yeah, you're exactly right. All right, so kind of just branching off, we see a scene where I think it was Patty asks, where did Tamara go? Because Tamara was at the party, and Patty, they're playing, I can't even think of the name of it.
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against, that's right. I'm thinking Evil Apples, apples.
Oh yeah, Apples to Apples.
But,
similar concept, but
similar. It's just a lot dirtier. But so they're playing Cards Against you, and Patty says, where's Tamara? She must have slipped out. Nobody saw her. And then we see Tamara kind of show up at Evan's house. Evan's having his party. He gets that call from John Blackwell earlier in the night. Just
nice little father and son moment.
Yeah. Yep. What are you doing, son? Oh, just ringing in the new year. Yeah, same as me. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm just traipsing around Europe doing my thing, but, Happy New Year, kid.
Yeah, exactly. But then we see Tamara show up on his doorstep, and she's very vocal. She's like, I love you, and I know you love me.
Yeah.
And Evan, to his credit, is trying to kind of stay straight-laced. Like, you betrayed me.
Oh, yeah.
You stole
He really is trying to just keep his guard up and not let her back in, knowing full well that, but in the end, and the way that she's looking at him, even. I mean, the chemistry between the two of them is off the charts,
Oh
but
yeah.
just the way that she was looking at him and just knowing that, yes, I screwed up, but the love is still there, and everything I feel for you, and he can't resist it. He can't resist her. It's
Right.
made obvious, very, very clear by the steaminess that ensues between the two of them.
Oh, that steaminess did ensue, and unfortunately, they had more than a few things that were shooting that night. And if
Yeah.
you're having that kind of explosion in the bedroom, well, I don't know if Lori can help with that kind of an explosion, but she can help with a lot of other explosions in the bedroom. So you might want to contact her. Are you having problems in the bedroom? Are you having problems with your sex life? Well, I know just who to talk to, and that's
Yeah.
Lori. CoachingByLori.com is where you could set up voice, video, or text sessions to talk about sex, to talk about intimacy, kinks, fetishes, taboos, fantasies, or your sexuality. You could talk about coming out and what to expect when you come out. Lori is a sex therapist and talks about your sexual health. Lori's offering all new clients 20% off their first session with the coupon code WELCOME. That's Coaching by Lori, LORIE.com. Coupon code WELCOME, WELCOME, for 20% off your first session. And yeah, like I said, Evan and Tamara are in the middle of making love in bed as they get it. And again, how the hell would they not have known? How would the people how would the people have known that Tamara's there? Like, is there some kind of GPS tracker?
Very good point. Very good point. I wrote that down too. Like, how would you anticipate her deciding to leave the part unless they were trailing her, tracking her, just in the interest of tracking down like every Garrett, maybe? Just, putting everyone on surveillance and just kind of say, yeah. I mean, it just would have been interesting to kind of, not saying we needed to see it, but I wish we could have, just a little bit more of them scoping out exactly where all these folks were going to be, and just kind of they're seeing a little bit more of the, because it seems so chaotic when they left. I think that, okay, they're running, but they haven't organized kind of, but really it's just like, no, we're just going to like go run in here and shoot and place up, and, logic and planning be damned.
It's almost like
that's what it felt like.
It's almost like there could have been an extra episode added in before last episode, so it could have shown Adam doing a little bit more, reconnaissance,
a little bit more of
on the family, and a little bit more preparation on the tactical team and how they're going to find their targets on that night.
Yeah, like it did feel a little like, okay, yeah, I need a place, but it did feel a little bit just, it lends to the chaotic environment, but it's a little hard.
You are breaking up severely on there seems to be some technical difficulties with your camera. But yeah, no, I get the gist of it. It would have been nice to see some more recon, some more, like, how are we gonna, because how did Adam know that he was gonna crash or the tires were gonna go out? Well, I mean, they just lit the tires, but exactly where, like, he was supposed to be going to the wedding, not the hospital. So how would, did Adam cause Vivian to, have her water break? Like, there's all that stuff that I would have liked to see the preparation of.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm sorry if the technical difficulties here, we're cutting in and out.
Yeah, no, not a problem. It happens. So we did kind of finishing up with that, we did see, Pete and Vivian, in the backseat, and Vivian is pushing, and she says the baby's coming right now, right here, and Pete ends up delivering the baby, and they're kind of cuddling in the backseat, and then all of a sudden here comes a figure in that that scary mask, and it turns out that it's Adam. And then the show ends, the episode ends with Pete and Adam looking like he was looking into a mirror.
Yeah. No, it was quite a chilling way to close it out for sure, that sequence, the whole thing. And it just, just shows where we're going to pick up with the guys next. It leads us right into where we want to be next season, just showing the shootout and what's going to happen next.
Yeah, exactly. It's but it's going to be good regardless of it. I like the ending. I like the overall flow of the episode, and like I said, the way that it was split. 2020, 2021, like the start of the new year is chaotic. But then at the and then we do get another, a scene at the end of the Romantica, New Year's party, in that Lianna, hears somebody knocking at the door. She just goes to open the door because she's hearing fireworks, and there's somebody standing there at the end.
Yes, which I'd kind of forgotten that detail until I did my rewatch recently, and then I was just like, "Oh yeah, that was thrown at the very end too."
Yeah, so it was. I mean, from the back we could tell it's Will. He's back, and I can't
back
wait
from the Cleveland Clinic.
Yes, finally after like 4 seasons. But I
to recover, obviously.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I'm glad. I mean, it's going to come because there was foreshadowing earlier because Lianna was saying, I wish I could make it right. I've tried. I've called. I've texted. I've sent letters. And she's gotten radio silence. So it was like blatant foreshadowing that now he's coming back. Oh, I lost Kim. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, unstable connection. It's like, come on, internet. I'm not the most stable individual either, but like at least I can hold it together.
Well, while we're we've gone over a lot of the episode, anyways. We pretty much went over it. Do you have any final thoughts regarding, regarding this episode?
My final thought is that I'd like to be able to talk about it without having any technological issues because this was such a good episode. Yeah. And a great way to end the, season, in my opinion. It just, it springboards us into so much for the following season. And It's nice knowing that I already kind of know what's going to happen and that the episode is readily available to, because if we had to wait an extended stretch to see what happened, I would be very, very upset by that.
Completely understand, and I completely agree with you. But either way, this episode was great. Two big surprises at the end. P and Adam come face to face, and Will and Lianna come face to face, and we'll see how that plays out. And next week as we start season 7 with next week's episode. But did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about this episode before we go?
Well, I'm trying to just make sure I don't get too interrupted. I don't want to go on a tear and then have it be like no one can. I don't want to be talking into the void.
All right. Well, you know what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and finish off this episode. It looks like you kind of have a stable connection now, as it looks like you're kind of moving fine. So if there's anything else you want to go over before we end the episode, why don't you take it now? And as soon as I say that, you freeze. So with that said, it looks like we're going to have to end this episode early. But we did go over everything. Next week, I will get Kim's final thoughts on season 6, and then we'll get into season 7, episode 1 next week. And again, so it looks like you're in and out, and as soon as I say that your connection looked good, you freeze again. So yeah, it looks like Kim is completely frozen. So folks, we will see you next week. For Kim, you can find her on Twitter at Misfit8690 and on YouTube, a Little Misfit 52. And you could find me on Twitter and Facebook at Vinny Suds. At Suds Media is our network Twitter account. And stay tuned for the podcast-a-thon coming up in November, on November 8th and 9th of this year. And we will be podcasting for 24 hours straight. Anyways, for Kim, I'm Vinny. We'll see you next week as we go and sit dockside at the bay. Have a great night, have a great day, everybody.